The girl saw the cook slip something into the soup, but she didn't expose it. Instead, she drank the whole bowl clean, because she already knew. This was all a plot by the first and second concubines to frame her. The cook smiled smugly as the girl drank it. The girl decided to play along, pretending the drug was kicking in, whispering, "I need to lie down for a bit." The cook hurriedly helped her to her room to rest. As soon as the girl lay down, the cook rushed out to find a male servant, handing him a silver ingot to go in after drinking and get the job done. What she didn't expect, while the servant was drinking, the girl had already changed into servant clothes, quietly snuck into the second concubine's room, drugged her, and dragged her back to her own room. The servant mistook the unconscious woman on the bed for his target. When the second concubine woke up, she was terrified beyond belief. Hearing the noise, the cook thought the plan had succeeded, and immediately went to the front hall to report to the first concubine. What she didn't know was that the girl was quietly following behind, waiting for the show to unfold. The girl could see through it all because she came here carrying her mother's hatred. 10 years ago, the hairpin she had prepared for her mother was hidden in the cupboard. She meant it as a surprise, but instead, she witnessed her mother being forced into a room by 2 maids and brutally murdered. The girl covered her mouth in horror, tears streaming down her face. With her last bit of strength, her mother closed the cupboard door, and the masterminds were the 2 concubines. After her mother's death, the girl suffered constant humiliation and was eventually sent back to the countryside. 15 years flew by, but the fire of revenge never faded. The opportunity finally came. The first concubine didn't want her own daughter marrying into the general's family, so she brought in the girl to take her place. And the 2 maids sent were the same ones who killed her mother back then. The girl greeted them with a cold smile, and the maids' smiles froze instantly. They forced a smile, silently following the girl into the bridal sedan. She had been waiting for this day. The hairpin quietly nestled into her hair. At that moment, her path of revenge officially began. Along the way, she would become the symbol of the family's revenge. She smiled slightly, but there was an unspeakable anger in her eyes. The 2 maids deliberately arranged for her to exit from the side door, saying it was because she didn't know the rules. The girl suddenly spun around and slapped one of them hard. She angrily said, as the second miss, entering through the side door, "Doesn't that make people suspicious of our family's reputation?" The other maid, seeing this, quickly insisted she go through the main door. Seeing how flustered they were, the girl secretly smirked. She smiled lightly and successfully entered through the main door. 15 years later, she finally stood before her mother's enemies again. At that moment, hatred and pain intertwined in her heart, but she still smiled and bowed to them. She silently vowed that all of this would eventually be repaid. At this point, the first concubine's personal maid stepped forward, saying she would take her to rest. The girl pretended to say she wanted to walk around, but in reality, she quietly headed toward the maid's room. The maid, seeing this, wrongly thought the girl was stealing and smirked, unaware that she had walked straight into the girl's trap. After leaving, the girl purposely let the pendant be seen. She went to the front hall to dine with her father. Sure enough, the first concubine immediately spoke up, accusing the girl of learning to steal. Her father was enraged, and the girl immediately put on a pitiful expression. She explained that the maid had stolen her jade pendant, a token of her parents' love. After years of suffering, she had never been willing to sell it, yet the maid took it. The father thought of his late wife, a sharp pain in his heart, and immediately ordered a search of the maid's room. The servants moved quickly, and soon found the pendant. The father was furious and ordered the maid to be severely punished. Another maid immediately pointed, and said, "She stole it," and forced the second young miss to use the back door. The father's rage grew even stronger, and he ordered her to be dragged out, and given 20 lashes. The maid begged for mercy, but the father showed no compassion. The girl watched quietly, while another maid collapsed in fear, fainting on the spot. The girl pretended to plead for mercy, and the father greatly admired her kindness. But it was just the first step of her revenge. To ruin the girl's reputation for good, the stepmother arranged for the maid to drug her again, this time during the family banquet. The maid thought she had succeeded and hurried to find the master, saying she heard strange noises in the back garden. Everyone rushed to check, and sure enough, they heard something very inappropriate. The maid pointed to the bushes and said, "The girl went that way." The father was burning with rage, ready to storm in and catch her in the act. The stepmother pretended to stop him, but her efforts only seemed more forced. The crowd murmured, and the scene grew louder and more chaotic. Just as the tension was about to explode, the girl suddenly appeared behind them. She whispered, "Are you looking for me?"